And that's how I started, by saying to people, this is what I've done, and you can go away and do that too. If everybody who had an anxious dog, or as I say, a dog in yellow, done that,
Yeah.
it would be amazing. Everybody virtually would know what a dog in yellow would be.
Hello, Danny here with another episode of Positive Playtime. Have you ever been told your dog's reactive? You're not alone, but with the right support, there is a world where you and your dog can feel a lot less overwhelmed. In today's episode, we're going to dive into how visibility, advocacy, and a bit of play can make a real difference for anxious dogs. Before we jump in, just a quick one. This podcast is brought to you by Tug-E-Nuff. We're all about helping dogs thrive through play, and if you fancy checking out our toys or training tips, head to tug-e-nuff.com. All right, let's get into it. In this episode, you'll discover why visibility matters when supporting reactive dogs, how yellow spaces at many dog events this summer are changing the game, and the small but powerful ways like toys like Enrichment and nose games can help dogs cope with busy places, especially as we head into the summer. My guest today has become a champion for dogs who need a bit more space, and the humans who love them. She's a founder of My Anxious Dog and the Dog in Yellow movement, and also the Dogs in Yellow Day, which we'll hear her talk a little bit about in the episode. The whole story was inspired by her own dog, Bella's journey with anxiety and reactivity, and through her work she's built a movement, created calm zones at major dog events, and developed practical tools that help reactive dogs feel seen, supported, safe and proud. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah Jones. Hello Sarah, and welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Awesome, perfect. Okay, so before we kick off, we like to ask a question just to kind of break the ice a little bit, and it has to be about dogs, of course. Can't be about anything else. So if your dog had a superpower, what would it be and why?
I think if my dog had she already has a superpower, doesn't she? Which is her yellow.
Yeah.
But I think if she was allowed another one, her superpower would be to talk. So she'd be able to talk what she's visually trying to. She'd be quite sassy, I think, though.
That's, I think a lot of dogs would be, to be honest. I think that actually, they've lived with us for a long time, not being able to obviously communicate in the way that they can, but actually given them a voice would be really interested to see what they actually say. I do the same thing quite a lot, actually give my dog a little bit of voice in my head and like, what you're saying, when he's barking at me or barking at somebody, what's he saying to them? But really, really interesting. Excellent. Okay, so first of all, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about you and about your dog, Bella, who you just mentioned, and how your journey together came to create My Anxious Dog?
Yeah, so I got Bella in 2012. And she was, when I went to view her, she was 7 weeks old, and the mum had been taken out of the room, and there was 3 little puppies playing.
Sure.
And I wanted to go for something different. I'd had a Springer Spaniel last time, a black and white, and he was a boy. So I wanted to go totally different and go for a female, and she was black and tan.
Okay.
Oh, she was so different, it turns out. But looking back on things, the lady that I got her from, she told me that Bella was born into trauma. Her mum had to have an emergency cesarean, and one of the siblings died. So instantly, Bella came into the world with trauma.
Mm.
And then when she was about 6 weeks old, probably play fighting, one of the litter mates bit her. And when I went to see her and when I went to pick her up, she still had quite this bad sore scab on her back. So I don't think that probably helped. And looking back on it as well, the fact that we never got to meet the mum, now I know, is obviously a little bit of a trigger as well, but It is what it is.
Well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it, really? And in the situation, in the moment, you kind of go with your gut, don't you?
Yeah, so we picked her up. She was 8 weeks old, she was beautiful. We took her to the vets I think we picked her up on a Friday, and we took her to the vets on the Monday, and she had a little heart murmur, And I remember
Okay.
the vet saying to me, she's got this little heart murmur, but if, you haven't had her long, so if you want to take her back to the breeder, you would be able to. And I cried, and I was like, "Oh, I
Mm.
obviously love this puppy. I've only had her, a weekend, and already we're bonded." So, that's where it all started with Bella. And then I found as well, doing the things that you want to do with your puppy. You expected all these wonderful things. We went to socialization class at the vets, and Bella basically sat under my chair while there was only 3 other puppies there, but while that was going on, she was under my chair.
Mm.
And I'd never heard of an anxious dog, and I've never seen it before, so I probably didn't see the signals. I just thought she was quite shy,
Yeah.
maybe just quite
Yeah.
quiet. And we went on to do dog training, and she would totally focus on me. To a point that people would take photographs of her, and I've got one at puppy class, and there's about 10 of us lined up, and all, when someone takes a picture, they do the noise for the dogs. All that was going on, and Bella's just focused at me. She sat by my side, and she's just totally looking at me, and I thought it was because she loved me.
Yeah.
But I think it was more because she didn't want to interact with anybody, any other dog or anybody else in the room.
Mm.
And that's where things started to show, was at classes like that. And then I went on with other classes, and it just didn't quite work out. If a dog was next to her, she would tell it off, and people would say, "Oh, my dog needed to be told off. He's quite jumpy or loud or boisterous." And I just laughed. I was like,
Yeah.
I probably didn't think about what poor Bella, why she was
Yeah.
doing that, because I had no clue. I'm just an owner of a little puppy. I had no behaviour insights into dogs at that point. So,
Yeah.
it was quite difficult.
Excellent. Yeah. So at what point did you get to when you thought, "Do you know what, I need to do something to help Bella"?
Yeah, so I found by the time so we went on to do flyball. And she'd been
Okay.
attacked. She'd been attacked before flyball. And it was just out on a walk, and she was running one way, and I think this dog didn't like it, because she was sort of running towards the dog, and it just went for it. But it was an Alsatian. It had her round the throat, and she was only 7 months old. And the owner couldn't get the dog off Bella. I threw myself on Bella. I don't know what I thought I was going to do, and just tried to, stupidly put the dog off, and it could have bitten me, but you're just in the moment. And then we were learning flyball, and she got attacked again. But this dog Bella was running back from retrieving her ball, and this dog just came from the other side of the park. And it hit her on the side, full pelt, handbags, and all the horrible noises. Excuse me. And I think she must have been bruised. I didn't stop and think either at the time, but she must have been bruised. And then when people were touching her, it hurt.
Okay.
But she's a very quiet dog. I didn't know for ages that she could even bark. She was that
Oh, okay.
quiet. She's really quiet. She's really patient and very quiet. So I didn't see the signals that she was showing me that it was causing pain. And then I think because of that, it went on to become a behaviour problem.
Sure.
And even to this day now, she's 13, she still doesn't like being touched by strangers. And because of that, when you've got a dog that doesn't like other dogs, that's difficult enough. But when you throw into the mix that I've got a dog that doesn't trust other dogs, and also associates pain with being touched. So that was really difficult. And that's when I thought, right, I really need to try and find something that can help me, because Bella then was starting to growl at people.
Okay. Yeah. And
Because
that then becomes people perceive that in a very different way.
Yeah. So where she'd been whispering to me and talking to me and other people, basically, is how I would say, we weren't hearing her, so she had to shout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
do, we shout and possibly lose our temper, but she was now shouting.
Yeah. Okay. And that kind of spurred you into, did you go away and look to see what was out there in terms of visibility, I guess, really making that a visible thing for other people to try and understand what's going on?
Yeah. So after crying several times, like you do with a dog like that, I spoke to my dog trainer, who told me about the yellow.
Okay.
And she said, "Oh, have you heard about yellow?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about." So I went away and Googled it. The products that I sort of needed were, for Bella, I needed something a bit more direct because she was reactive to a person.
Sure.
So I wanted like keep away or do not touch. And it's funny, a couple of months ago, this is what I like about Facebook, is your memories come up.
Yeah.
And a memory came up of me asking 12 years ago, does anybody know where I can get some dog products with keep away or please do not touch me and things like that on there. So I tried to source products, but there just really wasn't anything out there for Bella that I wanted. So it just stemmed from there. And I don't really know why, because I'm not a designer. I worked in the electronics industry, selling connectors and cables, nothing to do with dogs at all.
Sure. Yeah. But I guess it's that need, isn't it? When you find something that you need, that you then, or you envisage something that you need, you can't find it, then actually, that's really how Tug-E-Nuff sprung into existence. My mum, wanting products to use with toys to use with their dogs for her agility training, and then not being able to find ones that were either good enough or what she wanted.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it sprung into action. So for people that haven't heard of My Anxious Dog before, can you just give us a real breakdown into what it is that you guys actually do? What products you have available, just so people have a really good understanding of what you're up to.
So My Anxious Dog first started because I designed yellow space awareness products, basically for Bella.
Sure.
And it was just literally for her. And obviously my range spread from leads to harnesses to raincoats but I didn't want to just be a shop, because sure. I knew that this was something quite powerful, because I'd been in the situation where I suddenly found I was being seen and Bella was being understood. So it was such a big thing that I then also wanted to develop the awareness side of it as well. So not only do we sell and design product, but we also campaign and raise awareness for dogs in yellow.
Awesome. And how do you go about doing that? I'd be really interested to kind of hear a bit more about that.
Well, first off, I just started designing some packs of products. So it was really important, obviously where I lived, I wanted to raise awareness where I walked. So
sure.
I designed some poo bin stickers, wheelie bin stickers, some posters. And basically it meant I could give the posters to like my local vets, all of them, the one that I went to, but also all the other vets, and asked them to put them up in their waiting rooms so everybody that sat in there could read them. And the poo bin stickers, the parish council are in charge of parks. So I approached parish councils around me and told them my story and what it was all about. And nobody has said no to putting the poo bin stickers up on the poo bins, again, to help raise awareness. And we all have these wheelie bins now and food caddies, so stickers to go on there. And that's how I started, by saying to people, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And you can go away and do that too.
Sure.
If everybody who had an anxious dog or as I say, a dog in yellow, done that, it would be amazing. Everybody virtually would know what a dog in yellow would be.
Yeah, definitely. And so what would you say to people if they, if they're on their normal dog walk or just out and about, even without a dog, and they see a dog or an owner coming towards them, or a dog or an owner coming towards them in yellow, what would you say to them?
It's funny because I've had two experiences in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So years and years ago, walks were really, really hard.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot better with the awareness. And last week I had a really bad walk that I ended up in tears, which I haven't had for a long time. And poor Bella hadn't even done anything. It was just the fact that I asked if they could put their dog on a lead because we were in a really narrow path. And there was nowhere that I could disappear to. But basically, all we want is just for that dog to be put on a lead that we can pass, and then you can let your dog off the lead again. And that can make such a massive difference to somebody. Sure. You know, if that lady had put her dog on a lead without going through all the row and the nasty things she was saying to me, we could have had a nice pleasant walk. Instead, you know, I'm sat angry, crying, doing a video about the difference of a walk. You know, it's huge.
I did see that video, and actually, even she would have had a nicer walk because she wouldn't have had to have that interaction that, you know, that caused that. And I think that's really, I guess, from reading between the lines there, really what people really need to be is just mindful, really, isn't it? Really mindful and understand that actually, you know, they may not feel that their dog is affected by whatever interaction that might happen, but that may not be true. They can't, as we said at the very beginning, they can't talk to us. So actually, you know, we don't know what they're feeling, although they may be, you know, that you may think they're perfectly fine in a situation. So actually, let's just ask you a little question about everything else that you do in terms of trying to promote this. So there's a day every year that you dedicate to yellow dogs in yellow. Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that.
So my awareness pack stemmed then into an awareness day. It became a thing. I mean, it's 4 or 5 years ago now that I pitched for it, and awareness days were such a big thing. And I kept thinking, this will just be a brilliant way to get the message out there. So I pitched it to them, and March is Pet Anxiety Month.
Okay.
And the first day of spring is the 20th of March. And spring is all about daffodils and crocuses in yellow. So that's where the idea of putting it all together, where the date came from. The first one went viral. You know, it was everywhere, and it's been really nice to build on that to now to the point where I work with small brands like yourself, and huge brands as well. You know, even pet insurance companies get involved with it with me. Pet Remedy as well have got involved with it, and it's able that they can share it to their people as well. So it's been really good.
Awesome, perfect, great. Okay, so can you tell me about? So I've seen this firsthand because we've been to a lot of events that we've been. Tug-E-Nuff has been at the same events that you guys are at. Tell us a little bit about the yellow space zones that you've been that have been popping up in dog events around the country.
Yeah, so it started. So I've been doing dog shows for about 8 years, and I see a lot of stressed, anxious dogs being dragged around the shows because their owners want them to have a good time, and even dogs that would have a good time just need a little bit of decompression time done as well. What the reason where the idea came for it is a few years ago I had to go and see a friend of mine at a local dog show. And when we got there, it was quite a big show because it was not only a dog show, it had a car show, vintage show, and other bits as well. And obviously Bella's in her yellow, and also because she can be people reactive, she's quite pretty. She's got a bright yellow muzzle, just to protect Bella.
Of course.
And it came to lunchtime, and we wanted to get something to eat, and it was just busy. It was busy everywhere. There was nowhere to go. There was nowhere, as I would put, safe.
Sure.
So we ended up going behind all the vans where all the rubbish was, and it wasn't very nice, but it was quiet and nobody was around. So that's where the idea sort of came from. And I thought it would be really nice if behind our stand, because what we used to do was we used to just say to people, do you want to come behind the stand and I'll do you a fit in, or we'll have a chat, or if we could have something more behind us. And then this is where it sort of stemmed from, that we wanted to have this safe space that the dogs and the person could come in and it would feel safe, so that they could just sit and have a cup of coffee, have their lunch. but it meant that the dog could decompress.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a sensory retreat. It has little
Yeah.
visual barriers as well, and the amount of the amount of crying that's happened in
Yeah. Yeah.
but the amount of dogs that have come in there and just sat down, we've had photographs of muzzles on the hay bales, and then have weed, like
Okay.
a simple thing, like they're so stressed out there, they don't wee or drink. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can just see it, you can just see the tails come out, and yeah, it is
The
a
decompression happening in real time there, because they can be, they can be very busy, these events. So actually, people, just having that little bit of a space where they can take their dogs, whether it's just sniffing around, as you say, or having a game, playing tug, because I know you guys have got some Tug-E-Nuff toys in those yellow space zones, which is really great. But yeah,
And it's
perfect.
funny as well what some dogs like. Some dogs will play with the toys
Yeah.
that you've given us and have a great time. And some dogs will be just interested in sniffing. All they want
Yes.
to do is sniff the grass, who's been in here. Or so it's a variety of
Yeah.
activities that all different, all different
Yeah.
things. But
And sometimes you have some dog trainers there with you as well, which I guess really helps kind of get that awareness out there of the signs that their dogs might be a little bit anxious, might be a little bit unsure of a situation that they're in, and kind of actually help build on the education that you're trying to
yeah.
achieve.
So I can offer the emotional support, as in I walk in your shoes, I know exactly how you feel, and this is what I've done, and this is what helps, and this is what's given me confidence. But yeah, Nikki French, who wrote Stop Walking Your Dog,
Yeah.
she comes to all of our yellow space zones where she can now, and she can really help and work with people on giving them some confidence games and
Yeah.
advice. And she sets up the Ace Free workstations as well for the
Okay.
dogs as well, which
Yeah.
is really nice. So
Awesome. Great. So what has the response been like? What kind of response have you had from people in these yellow space zones?
really positive.
Yeah.
Everybody has said how good they are, how much they appreciate them, little tips that they've picked up and things like that from Nikki. Or yeah, it's just been a really, really positive thing to see. And obviously Nikki will talk through to them about their dog's behaviour as they came in and what
Yeah.
it's doing now while it's doing the Ace Free work. So yeah, really positive.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So, you mentioned already about different enrichment tools and things that you have in those yellow space zones. So, like snuffle mats and things like that, I've seen definitely. So, can you share some examples of how toys have specifically helped to calm dogs down or get them into a better space and to be able to go back out there into the event?
Yeah. So, like some dogs aren't interested in food. So that's,
Yeah.
or some dogs have dietary problems.
Yeah.
So then we can't work with snuffle and things like that. So the toys have been really good for the owner as well to be able to play with the dog.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can't really do that anywhere around the shows. So
Yeah.
having this area, and also it means that the person is then engaging back with the dog again.
Yeah.
So focusing, instead of
Yeah.
focusing on everything else that's going on, they're now channeling back to the dog, which has been really nice to see them, being able to be put on the long line and be able to play around the
Yeah.
zones.
That's such a helpful reminder. And actually, at Tug-E-Nuff, we put together a free games ebook with some simple ideas which can help add enrichment to your dog's day. So it's especially useful if you've got a sensitive or reactive dog. Again, we talked about we don't really want to use that word reactive, but an anxious dog or a dog with big feelings. You'll find the link in the show notes, so definitely check that out. It's totally free. So with that in mind, and with summer upon us, and more dogs heading out, out and about all the time. We see it, some people want to be outside, they want to be outside with their dogs, festivals, cafes, going on holidays. How can owners recreate these yellow space zones for themselves?
Most people have probably got the majority of the products that we use with snuffle toys and stuff. So yeah, like when I go to the beach with Bella, we've got like a little pop-up tent, because Bella has
Yeah.
to have this safe space somewhere that I can
Sure.
put her in, and that's what I do. I'll take some toys with me and snuffle products. Calming sprays is really important for me and Bella. And you can, just do these little mini zones, anyway.
Yeah.
Like I say, pop-up tent is really easy to take,
Yeah.
to have that little safe space so that you can just sit in something and feel that you're not vulnerable.
So in an area that you can kind of be, this is your safe space. This is it. And I think a lot of people will train that as almost just like a settle, but you can use that in terms of those situations where you or your dog may not be feeling quite so confident, or you need to just decompress from a stressful situation with lots of dogs or people around. Definitely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So what impact have you seen in terms of awareness and attitude towards reactive dogs since you started your campaign? And I say reactive dogs there, but I know that obviously that's a term that can be a little bit misunderstood. Yeah.
No, you get there's so many words saying the same thing, but so many attitudes different.
Yeah.
To me, I don't like the word aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your dog's so aggressive. No, she's talking, she's shouting at you. You forced her to shout.
Yeah.
But people, everybody has their own opinion. But I think when I first had Bella, there wasn't very much awareness going. But it was an idea that had started back in the year 2000. I think it started in Australia originally.
Okay.
But I have definitely seen it growing, because if I walk Bella anywhere, 6 or 7 people out of 10 will put their dog on a lead. Now, I'd love it to be 10 out of 10, but you'll always get that one person,
of course,
that won't. And I met her last week. But what I say to people is, if I hadn't had that yellow on, it might have been 1 or 2.
Yeah.
There is lead etiquette, and people do acknowledge that. But as soon as they see the yellow, then they do. The amount of people that walk past, say, I saw your, really proud to say, I saw your yellow lead. I saw your yellow, whatever,
Yeah.
And I always say that's really, really kind. Thank you very much for doing that. So.
I guess it is about creating those positive interactions when somebody actually does that for you, is being, you did the right thing. Thank you for doing that. Because, as I said previously, the alternative is potentially both of you are not going to have a great walk, and you always want to have a good relationship and a good positive experience with your dog when you're out and about. I think that's definitely what I want to do. And I've got a dog. And there's a lady that sometimes helps us at Crufts called Nikki Burkett, who describes these types of dogs in a really great way, and she says they've got big feelings. And I think that's a really nice way to describe dogs, where you've got those scenarios where they are anxious or highly strung. I've got one. My dog Tiddly, he is, I've definitely labelled him as, maybe incorrectly labelled him as reactive, because there are situations that he gets into, or that I put him into, that he doesn't like, and he shouts at people. Shouts, as you said, barking is shouting. So actually, now I'm very mindful of I've always been very mindful of situations that I put him into, and I guess that's another thing as well, is you should be able to go where you want and take your dog for a walk. But actually, I guess it's about thinking about those scenarios, and that yellow armor, as you call it, definitely really helps. So how can owners feel more confident advocating for their dog when they need space? So I guess we talked about this a little bit actually, in terms of asking for it, but how can they really advocate for their dogs?
Well, I think it does give you confidence out. It is a bit like I know it's all very cliche, but I will never walk Bella without yellow on.
Okay.
So she's 13 next month, and she started wearing it, say, when she was about a year old. Only in that time, one weekend, we forgot to put the yellow harness and lead in the car, because I picked Bella up and then we completely forgot. And I felt so vulnerable, because she looked like a normal dog.
Okay.
And we walked in the countryside, but we also walked through a little town. And I just felt so different. You're still scanning and you're still alert, even with the yellow, but I definitely feel more confident, because it's a visual way, as we say, to show Bella's voice. So the packs as well make you feel like you've done something to achieve awareness in your own area.
Sure.
And I think that gives you a little bit of confidence. Again, it's not all a miracle cure, but
Yeah.
it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it is all about those little steps that you can take to make yourself feel more confident as well. You know, you
Yes.
can kind of make feel more confident in that you've told people out and around you, and all you can then do is hope that they listen to the signals that you put out there and
Yes.
make your experience a lot better. So if there was one message that you could give to people listening to this podcast who might be struggling with an anxious dog, or a dog that people have labelled reactive or even worse, aggressive, you know, what would that be?
Don't feel ashamed.
Yeah.
Is one of the, you know, be proud. Children are all different.
Yeah.
So why can't our dogs be all different?
Yeah.
And I think that sort of attitude between animals and children and human beings is being understood a lot more now as well.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say to somebody with PTSD the things that you say to a dog with PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because sometimes these attacks are horrific.
Mm.
Or like a rescue dog, you know, rescue dogs, we always say that, yeah, they may just be learning to trust again, but you don't know what trauma they've had in their previous life. So
Yeah.
you know, they're obviously going to shout at a man if a man has done something to them, or they're obviously going to shout at a child if a child, you know, it just works. So be proud to advocate for your dog, to speak up for them.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay. So if people want to find out more about My Anxious Dog or about you yourself, where can they go to find that out?
So we have a Facebook page, which is My Anxious Dog.
Awesome.
All our socials, we're on Instagram and TikTok as well, is My Anxious Dog, and our website as well
Okay.
is My Anxious Dog.
Awesome. So they just search My Anxious Dog and you'll pop up.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yeah. So thank you, Sarah, for joining us and for the incredible work that you're doing with My Anxious Dog and the mission that you're for you comfort and clarity, and also comfort to so many other dog owners, whether that's through those yellow space zones or through the work that you're doing to raise awareness through the Yellow Dog Day and other bits and pieces. So if you know someone who's navigating life with a reactive dog, please share this episode with them. It could be really what they need. I mean, if you're looking for practical tools and toys, or better, toys to support your dog's confidence, you can find them at Tug-E-Nuff.com, or just search for us on Google. And we've got loads of toys which are designed for lots of different games. And also, if you're out and about at events this summer, look out for Sarah and My Anxious Dog, and they have some Tug-E-Nuff toys with them, either in the yellow space zone or some that you can buy from them. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, just hit that subscribe button or leave a review. It really helps us reach more dog lovers like you. And you can listen to Positive Playtime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. So until next time, happy tugging.